I was lucky enough to spend the entire weekend playing Palia, so today I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of the game so far. And if you want to find out how to win your very own closed beta key so you can play it before the 10th, make sure to watch until the end. And a huge thank you to Palia for giving me early access so I can make this video. So for those of you who don't know, Palia is a cozy life sim MMO. And this has everything you know and love from your typical life and farming sim, but it's made even better because you can play it alongside a community of other cozy gamers. The game is set in the world of Palia, a place which has long believed humans to be extinct for thousands of years. Well, that was until you showed up, descending from the ruins, much to everyone's shock. But it wasn't long before the townspeople gifted you a plot of land to live on so you can start out your brand new life in Palia. But after you settled in, something doesn't sit quite right with you. Scattered around the world of Palia is human ruins. And you decide, along with the town's local scientist, to try and piece together what exactly happened to the human race all those years ago and why they seemingly all instantly vanished. And although you don't know much, the townspeople often mention this thing reminiscent of magic, a practice which is now outlawed in Palia and long since been believed that it was the reason the humans vanished. And honestly, the story mixed in with learning all about this brand new world had me instantly hooked. To me, the best way to sum up Palia is a perfect blend of chill gameplay meshed with a great story and a beautiful world that brings everything together and gives everything you do a purpose. And when I tell you that Palia is absolutely beautiful, I truly mean it. Now, for context, you are seeing this game at its full graphic settings, but as you can probably see, exploring this landscape has been an absolute delight. And despite the fact that there's only 2 main areas to explore as of right now, there is actually a surprising amount to see. First of all, you have this little town area, which at the center of it has every single one of the shops that not only sell you items, but also recipes for crafting. Like for example, you have the tavern, which is full of food, recipes, and also cooking equipment. You also have the general store, which has a few useful items, but also seeds for you to set up your very own farm. There's also a furniture store, which you can either buy furniture from or buy blueprints to craft your own furniture. I genuinely think furniture design is one of the strong points of Palia, as some of these items are so cute. And at the very edge, you also have the premium store, which is something we'll touch on a little bit later. The thing that really surprised me was just how alive this world seems. As not only do you have the NPCs walking around, going about their daily life and their business, but you also have wildlife running around the world as well. And hopefully, as of day 1 of the game, you'll also be in a lobby with 24 other people also running around carrying out their quests as well, which I think is only going to help the town to feel even more alive. As I said, so far there are only 2 main areas of the map to go and explore, so this isn't really open world, although the areas are pretty massive. Each of the areas have their own unique resources to gather, with the first main area being full of easier to obtain items, and the second area needing mostly upgraded tools to be able to access. But I think over time, this map is going to be expanded even further. But the thing that made this game so hard for me to put down was the incredibly simple, yet effective gameplay loop. As you can see, the game itself is quest-based, with not only main story quests, but also character quests to do as well. Most of these quests, in essence, boil down to just doing your normal farming sim stuff. This can be anything from processing materials, collecting resources, or crafting different items. But the fact that you had multiple quests on the go and you were doing everything for a reason made this so difficult to put down. The game itself is split up into 8 different skills. You have fishing, cooking, farming, mining, hunting, bug catching, foraging, and crafting. And each of these skills can be leveled up simply by doing the activity. And each time you level them up, it will allow you to do more with the skills and even unlock some quests as well. I really like this progression system, as it basically rewards you for doing literally anything in a game, because every task you do will level up a skill. And surprisingly, I actually found myself doing a little bit of everything in the game. I thought I'd stick to just a few skills, but no, I really did enjoy all of them. The fishing mechanic was a lot of fun, and although it's simple at first, you can definitely see how it can get harder when you come across some rarer types of fish. The mining was pretty standard, honestly, in a farming sim, other than the fact that you can mine basically near any rock face, and the mines itself really didn't have a lot to mine in them. So I don't fully understand the purpose of the mines. Maybe there's something to do with the story instead. I also love the bug catching because instead of using a net, you kind of threw these smoke balls instead, which kind of mixed things up a little bit from what we're used to. The farming was a lot of fun as well, because although you could do the classic farming sim thing of just throwing crops wherever you feel like, you can also get kind of scientific with your crop placement, as each crop kind of has beneficial properties. Some crops will make it so you don't have to water the crops around it as much. Other crops will prevent weeds growing on the crops around it. And thankfully, the crops didn't take too long to grow either. But one big thing farming truly demonstrated is the fact that Palia is designed to not punish you for not being able to play. So for example, no matter how long you leave your crops, they will never wither away. Instead, if they need watering, they will simply just stop growing. And the same goes for all the other aspects of gameplay as well. Crafting was also something I surprisingly really enjoyed. Not only were you able to make some absolutely gorgeous items to decorate your house with, it was also incredibly streamlined. You can have up to 8 storage boxes, each of which are interconnected with each other, so there's no need to worry about what's in each box and managing and sorting it all. And what makes this even better is when you go to craft something, it pulls in all the resources from every single one of your boxes, along with what you have on your person as well. The same goes for processing resources as well. It's just as streamlined, as you can set things up to process on bulk and it will carry on going even when you log out of the game. The other nice thing about how Palia is designed is if you don't want to have to do something, you don't really have to do it. So for example, one of the early game quests requires you to need fabric. So you can either go to the shop, buy cotton seeds, grow cotton seeds and process them into fabric, or if you don't feel like doing it, you can pop down to the shop and buy fabric straight away and complete the quest like that. And the same goes for any one of the skills and also combat as well. If you want to try and avoid an aspect of the game, they have allowed you to be able to do that. Now, the big thing that made this game feel so free and so easy compared to other farming sims is the lack of stamina mechanic. This means that you can run around and mine and farm and do everything you want to do without watching a stamina bar, and I love it. Instead of stamina though, they introduced this concept that's called focus. This is something you gain by eating food. And when this bar is above 0, then you'll get bonus XP for doing all your skilled activities. Now, when you start the game, I think this percentage is 20%. But there's also this separate currency in the game called renown, which you get for leveling up and doing quests. And you can basically spend these points by praying at shrines to either make your focus bar bigger or to increase the percentage XP boost that you get whenever you have a full bar. I think after playing for the entire weekend, I managed to get my base XP boost to be around 40%. So I really did enjoy this system, and it makes leveling up your skills easier and faster as well. I think it's a really good way to do it. The other reason I love it is it finally gives me a reason to cook in a farming sim. This is normally something I try and avoid as much as possible, but when it rewards you this much for doing it, it's actually a part I really did enjoy. With the exception of the chopping minigame, because I was actually really bad at doing it. There is one thing they did introduce, which I'm not too sure how I feel about it, and this is the fact that every single one of your upgraded tools will degrade as you use them. Now, you can repair them, and it's not too difficult to do, but it kind of got a little bit frustrating that you'd always have to come back home, repair your items, then go out and carry on whatever you were doing. Considering people really didn't like it in Breath of the Wild, I thought it was an interesting choice to bring back in a farming sim. Now, one thing that I didn't see mentioned whatsoever when I was reading up about this game is that they actually have bundles that you need to fulfill. This was something I didn't expect, but absolutely loved when I saw them. There looks to be 4 different bundles to complete, each with their own sections within them. So far, I've only unlocked the fish bundle, and it does look like you need to be pretty far through the game to start accessing some of the fish and items that you need to get. And if all of this doesn't sound like enough content for you, Then there's also villagers to befriend and try and romance, each with friendship levels and also daily item requests as well. One really cool thing they added in is you basically get a personality type assigned to you, dependent on how you respond to other characters in the game. So you can kind of see a little symbol next to all the responses, and whichever one you use the most is your personality type in the game. Now, I have no idea how this plays into the story or anything else, but I thought that was a really cool thing to have in there. As we mentioned, this is technically an MMO, so let's talk about multiplayer. Now, I've got to admit, seeing as I was playing this with such a small bunch of people over the weekend, I didn't really get to see this aspect in its full capacity. I was only ever in a server with about 6 to 7 other people, so definitely nowhere near the maximum capacity. But I can definitely say that if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy playing with other people or just want to play by yourself, then it's most definitely doable as a single player. But there were definitely aspects that are designed to be done with other people. A good example are these glowing trees that actually heal as you hit them. So either you need a really strong axe or multiple of you can hit the tree at the same time and get it down that way. And thankfully, you each get your own loot piles, so there's no stealing from anyone else, just helping each other out. The same goes for animals as well. Some of them are a little bit tricky and could be a lot easier if you have a few people to help you out with. But again, still doable by yourself. One aspect I really do like, and I think it's such a cool way to interact with other players, is the ability to request and donate items to your friends. This is obviously something they really want to encourage, as it's actually one of the quests as well. Now, there is no voice chat to communicate with other players, just the normal chat on the side of the screen. But one thing you can do is emote at other players. I found this a lot of fun. I think it was a great thing to add into the game. But if you do want to find people to play Palia with, maybe you don't know anyone in real life, or you just think it would be more fun with other people, I'll leave a link down below for my Discord server, which is filled with people excitedly waiting for their Palia emails so they can log in and play. Let's quickly just touch on the microtransactions. Now, these are definitely on the pricier end of the spectrum, although they definitely do have a good variation of different prices, dependent on how many items come with the pack you're buying. So here you can see the price of the premium currency, and here you can see the prices of all of the items. So the really expensive items, and in my opinion, the ones I really want, are around the $25 mark. And sadly, this does seem to be about the going rate for cosmetics at the moment. I will say the nice thing about this is it isn't really in your face, as you kind of have to go out of your way in order to find the premium store items. But obviously, let me know how you feel about them in the comments down below. But the fact that this is a free game makes this all a little bit easier to swallow. Now, although I've had a great time playing Palia, we just need to remember that this is very much still in beta. Now, what this means is the game itself is effectively unfinished or unpolished. This means you can expect to see some bugs with the game, and in my opinion, there are a few areas that are definitely in need of improvement. So like, for example, day one, there will be no controller support. So if you're not used to playing with a mouse and keyboard for a farming sim, I definitely recommend going into the menu and checking out the keybinds to make your life easier. Another thing you'll notice is that fast travel isn't really that accessible. You can fast travel back to your house once every 30 minutes, but outside of that, you will find yourself running around an awful lot. A few parts in the game did feel like your typical MMO grinding. This was especially prominent when you're running around trying to find copper ore, as I just seem to never have enough. And then we have the map itself. As of right now, there is no mini-map, so I think that would be a great quality of life feature for them to add in the future. But I have also suggested to the developers that they find a way of making it easier to find certain NPCs, as right now, the only way you can find an NPC is to spot their teeny tiny circle on this giant map. And it took me a while to figure out that if they're not on the map, that means they're in another area. And I think they could do this a little bit better by having a list of NPC names on the right-hand side, allowing you to either click on them or see exactly where they are. One thing I do like about the map, though, is the fact that it will tell you if an NPC is asleep. Although, thankfully, they're never really asleep for too long. Honestly, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface on what there is to do in Palia. And the best part is, this is only the beginning. This is a live service game, and they've even gone so far as to say they're looking at around 24 updates per year is what they've currently got scheduled. And in a recent blog post, they have given us an idea as to what to expect in terms of updates coming this year. They've said themed events, new quests and storylines, new villagers and friendships, more decor and furniture, more crops and recipes, character customization options, including beards, the Nintendo Switch release alongside the controller support, and a ton of quality of life improvements. So I feel like there's a lot to look forward to. The game has so much potential, and honestly, if you're thinking about downloading it, I say do it. By the way, if you want to try and win a chance at getting a closed beta key, instead of having to wait till the 10th of August, which is when the open beta is, then make sure you turn up to my stream tomorrow, where I'll be giving away codes so you can play the game right away. And if you want to learn more about Palia, click this video here.